with the Chiefs taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. As of today, Monday morning, the Chiefs are a 2.5 point favorite with a total of 43. What are some factors bettors should know about this game before betting it?
So yeah, this time of year, you always want to kind of look at the playoff scenarios just to see which
Hmm.
teams are motivated and which are not. In this case, we're getting two very motivated teams. The
Yep.
first scenario that we need to talk about the Chiefs. If they win, they clinch a first round bye and the one seed with one game to spare,
Yep.
and I think that'd be huge for them. If you win on Wednesday against the Steelers, then you don't have to worry about playing players against the Broncos. Chiefs offensive
Yep.
line super banked up. Get them healthy, get Mahomes healthy. He had that high ankle sprain that he played through on
Hmm.
Saturday and actually looked fine, but make sure that he's okay. So yeah, the Chiefs are definitely just going to want to win. It will set them up well for the future going forward in the NFL playoffs. Even if they get the first round bye eventually with a Week 18 win, you'd like to have that extra week off to just get some players healthy and kind of have a nice reset. On the other side, Steelers have lost their last two games. They're tied for the Ravens at 10-5 for the division lead, but they do have the tiebreaker
Mm.
over Baltimore, even if they end of the season with the same record. So Pittsburgh, obviously, a lot of pressure on them to win their last two games against the Raven, or sorry, at home against the Chiefs, and then they will host the
Yeah.
Bengals in Week 18, who might have something to play for. They might not.
Hmm.
We'll have to see more as the week goes on. But obviously, Steelers definitely want to win this game for division purposes. So that's one thing to look at. And then now on to injuries. Patrick Mahomes, I mentioned, had the ankle sprain. He played through it. I think at first when he had that ankle sprain, there was concern he would miss the Saturday game, and then maybe they'd bring him back for a quick turnaround on a Wednesday. But he played Saturday, so he'll be
Hmm.
fine for Wednesday, I assume. And
Yep.
then the other side, George Pickens is expected to be back in this game, but it is a
Hmm.
hamstring injury, and he has missed the last three games. But I bring Pickens up
Yep.
because he's so important for what the Steelers want to do on offense, where it's a lot of like early down runs, and then Russell Wilson's throwing deep shots. And Pickens is a
Yep.
really good deep threat for Pittsburgh. He can stretch the field. He can win against and make contested catches against cornerbacks, something that most of the Steelers receivers can't do. So without Pickens, the Steelers offense has been pretty bland, especially the last two games against the Eagles and Ravens. So you'd really want Pickens back in this game, especially against the Chiefs, which secondary has been pretty vulnerable this season. So I think for right now, the line for this game is correct. The Chiefs is a small favorite.
Sure.
And frankly, I don't really want to bet on either team in this game because I feel like both teams have been a little bit lucky this season with the Chiefs winning
Yeah.
all those close games and then the Steelers just finding ways to win early season games. And now they're kind of hitting a wall with the schedule being so
Hmm.
tough and both teams playing their third game in 11 days. So it's kind of a messy game right now. I feel like the point spread is pretty much spot on. If Pickens plays and this total goes up a little bit from now until game day, maybe look under in this game because the Chiefs do have some offensive line issues they're sorting through. But for now, really no play in this game, but definitely a huge game for playoff implications in the AFC.
For sure. All right, Nate. The NFL is giving us another present on Christmas Day with the Ravens taking on the Texans. Baltimore is a 4 point road favorite, and the total is 46 and a half. What are your thoughts on this game?
So I like the Ravens at -4 or better. So this is kind of the last number I'd consider them at on Sunday or Saturday, I guess, because these both teams played on Saturday against different opponents. So some of the early numbers was like Ravens -3, -3.5.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
Texans are a team for me though that just I don't know. There's something about them where I don't really trust them, and maybe that's reflected in the point spread where they're getting four on the road. But I feel like CJ
Hmm.
Stroud has regressed this season. The offensive play calling hasn't been there. I know we previewed a game 2 weeks ago where I was on the Dolphins +3 against the Texans. Texans win by 8, but they had less than 200 yards in that game, so it wasn't because of their offense. And now the Texans offense really took a big hit Saturday with wide receiver Tank Dell sustaining a dislocated kneecap against the Chiefs. After that injury, the Texans offense just kind of couldn't do anything. Nico Collins is still there and he's a key piece, but not having the secondary option, I think, is huge for the Texans. And it's a devastating loss for Houston, who they're also at a point where they're like pretty much about to clinch the AFC South. So even if they lose this game, they're not, it's not the end of the world for Houston. They'll play the Titans, I think it is the Titans in week 18. So they'll have a chance to clinch the division there if they don't do it now. So I just feel like Houston might be going through the motions, and Baltimore is going to go all out because they'll actually know if Pittsburgh loses, then the game before they'll know if a win will give them the division lead, and then they close the season home against the Browns, so they'd be in a really good spot to win the division. So in terms of like motivation and just like kind of the injuries going on for Houston, I like Baltimore here. Never love laying points on the road, especially when both teams are motivated, and Houston still has some good parts of their team, especially defensively. But yeah, it's Ravens or pass here for me in the second game on Christmas Day.